So, what did we think?
Good.
Thumbs up.
Intense.
Angsty.
Yeah, I love angst.
Me too.
It's like I had a feeling something was happening between them, but it just seemed like it wasn't going to happen
Mm-hmm.
because there wasn't like enough evidence.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like they're giving you a little bit and you're just kind of like, I mean, I could run with it and it seems kind of crazy, like me wanting them to get together, like I had mentioned previously. But then the fact that they actually, you know, there was that one almost kiss. I was like, oh my God. Yeah, so that was cool. She still has a headache, so she'll be listening. Oh, hope you feel better.
Feel better. Thanks, guys. I think it didn't have a lot of buildup because everyone's an unreliable narrator.
Yeah.
And even Billy keeps like downplaying everything and being like, this song wasn't about us. And, oh, you know, like, I didn't handle it like that. And like Daisy and everyone else is like, no.
It was about Daisy. Yep. And then there was a moment where he said, or no, she said, oh yeah, he told me the song was about me. And then he's like, I never said that. And I'm like, what? I think there was twice that happened. And I'm like, so did it happen or did it not happen? But then I forget that it's like an interview. So
Yeah, it's messed up of him to keep kind of like denying it. At least say like, okay, yeah, there's this chemistry. We're trying to work around it or something, because I feel like it's not fair for him to keep saying like, oh no, this really wasn't happening, because he's just trying to like balance so much, you know, I guess.
mm-hmm.
I think he just has a lot of guilt about all of these things that he messed up on in the past, and Daisy like triggers a lot of that guilt, and she like embodies all the things that he like is ashamed that he has in himself. So he has to like deny it in all these different ways in order to like live with himself and keep being with his wife, and like, you know, like he's not able to accept, or I don't know, come at peace in some way with that part of himself. He has to like bury it and kind of
that
like
makes sense.
reject it.
Also, I think like Daisy represents like what he wants to do, you know, but he's trying to be responsible. Like he doesn't want to fall off the wagon and all that. So it must be hard for him.
Which I think there was a moment where I think Karen was mentioning, I think is the one time we start getting the hints that maybe it's not going to work out between her and Graham. She was saying, I don't know if I wrote it down, something about that it's like people that are alike, like maybe they can't be too alike and they don't fit well, that it's more of like kind of like opposites attract. And then maybe she's referring to herself and Graham, but I was thinking about Daisy and Billy, and the fact that yes, they were both having issues around with like drugs and how that makes them the same, how they both want to be the star of the show, or like, you know, like they have that stardom. So I'm like, are they gonna make it or are they not gonna make it?
It's definitely very suspenseful. And now with like the release of the magazine, I just think it's really funny because it's like the opposite of what was happening at the beginning. Like they were getting along nicely, writing songs and collaborating fairly well, in addition to the chemistry they were having. But now it's like, oh, they have to use like someone else has to like convey the message for them because they don't want to talk to each other. then when Daisy got married, I was kind of surprised. But when Warren said the guy was a con artist, it just made me think of that. What was it called? The Tinder swindler or something? That's what I was picturing in my head.
That gave me Evelyn Hugo vibes.
Oh.
I don't know why. Not because she was marrying just anybody, but it happened all of a sudden. I think with one of her marriages, it was like that. It was super quick. I can't remember.
Mhm.
But I was like, oh man. And I mean, I get it. She just, like how I think Simone was saying it, she just wanted someone to care for her, and a husband
Mhm.
would be the one, being there for her, but he wasn't the right one.
Plus, she's on so many drugs that she doesn't really have a good sense of judgment.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the part that I think she said, the guys that are always tell you these nice things are always the ones that end up being liars. And I was like, oh no, like she's not telling us what's happening, but one can imagine, and
Yeah.
I feel sad for her.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Maybe she's
clearly
referencing.
he's gonna
Oh, what?
it's gonna go bad.
Yeah. Yeah, because since it's an interview format, she could be referencing something that happened in the past, but in the future for us, since we're reading it in chronological order. Could be something she knows that we don't know about yet.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm kind of worried for her how, like it said, like they were putting a lot of bills on her credit card, because I'm like, oh no, like imagine if she has so much success with the album and then like she barely, what is it called when you she barely scrapes clean, like doesn't have a profit but isn't in debt, or is still in debt even with the success of the album.
Mm.
In the red.
Yeah, there's another phase too, but it's not coming to mind right now. But yeah, I think it would be really sad, because even though like Billy is saying like, oh, she didn't have to work that hard, like it's still a talent and she still did do work for the album. So I think it'd be messed up if she doesn't end up with anything.
Have they said how far in the future these interviews are?
I don't think so.
I'll check at the beginning and see.
Yeah, I feel like it would be in the beginning, but
Because it's interesting because there's like two people missing. There's Pete and Teddy are not interviewed.
mhm.
And we don't know, like clearly this is them reminiscing into the past, but we
Right.
don't know if it's like supposed to be like modern day 2019 when the book came out. Is it supposed to be like the 80s? Like we don't know how much time has passed.
Mhm.
It's enough time where they,
Mhm.
are able to be reflective, but I just wonder how much time passed between the interviews and why those people are missing. Like, did they die?
Yeah, I noticed Teddy, because they keep talking about him, but he never reappears. Like he appeared in the beginning when they were like introducing him, but other than that, it's kind of like,
At the very beginning, before the interview starts, it says, over the course of the last 8 years, I've conducted individual interviews. But it doesn't really say when she started interviewing. It says that they split and tour in Chicago in 1979, but we just finished reading. Okay, the next part we're going to read is going to 1979. So I think it's just gonna all go bad.
yeah, it does say some potential interviewees were difficult to track down. Some were forthcoming than others, and some unfortunately have passed on.
Mhm.
You said it was Teddy, and who was the other person you didn't notice? Or
Pete, the guy with the girlfriend, is also in the
Mhm.
6.
Mhm.
They
I wonder
haven't
if
interviewed
he's
him.
difficult to track down.
Probably.
It seems like, I think
Mhm.
someone mentioned it last meeting, that he just like left with his girlfriend.
Mhm.
And when
He's
everyone
fine.
else kind of
Yeah.
stayed around to get or like nearby.
He and Eddie are the ones that go like visit their parents on the East Coast, and Pete goes with his girlfriend.
He goes with yeah. I still don't like Eddie.
Me neither.
The fact that he's like, oh, I like Niccolo, and I'm like, yep, you're an ass.
Yeah.
For a reason you like him. You're not a good
You know what's funny is the TV show, there's no Pete. Like he doesn't exist.
Oh.
So I kind of wonder if that means something.
Oh no, what if he dies? And then since he's not like a huge part of the story, they're just like, okay, let's cut him out for the show.
That's true.
Mhm.
You look through the cast.
But I thought it was funny, and I still don't know if there'll be an explanation for this. I'm like, if it's not the 6, then what do you? It's only the 5. Like,
That's
Maybe
I
there's-
don't. I'm confused.
Yeah, that's so weird. How can they not have the 6 band members?
I don't know. I hope they. I hope they explain it.
That would be annoying, yeah, if it doesn't show on the TV show. What was I gonna say?
Maybe they think we won't notice.
Mhm.
Have they met book
I
book
think-
fans? They notice everything.
Oh yeah. You're so right. Why?
I just saw the author post about something like when she was wearing the denim on denim, and she was like, "Oh, I won't do anything. I won't ask Sam Claflin to do anything I wouldn't do."
Yeah.
And I
saw
remember
that.
that guy from the book you showed me, Judith, in the movie, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, he's the one that's gonna play Billy." So it made me a little more excited for the show.
I had not noticed that there was not 6. Why would they do that?
I don't know.
I mean, even if like let's say Pete did die, like that doesn't mean you shouldn't show him in the pictures, you know? At
It
least
still
to be
doesn't
like
make
six-
sense to be a 6 because it's Daisy Jones and the 6. So
Yeah.
where's it's only 5. Where are the other? Where's the 6th one?
oh my
Maybe
god.
there'll be some kind of a joke about it. I don't know.
Oh, you can't really see it. Someone put hashtag where's Pete.
Oh,
I don't know if you can see. It's just right there. Hashtag where's Pete?
Oh yeah.
oh gosh. Maybe they're just gonna say like at the beginning, you know how in some books that where it says like, oh, based on a true story, kind of gives you little notes. Maybe they'll say Pete was here, but he was one of the ones we quote unquote couldn't track down, so then he won't be included. But there's
Or
still
maybe
pictures.
it'll be some like urban legend where like we had 6, but then he left or something. I don't know.
Mm,
Or like Pete is like our friend. He wasn't in the band. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a joke.
They're all
But I'm
saying
curious.
Stacey Jones and the 5. Where's Pete?
that is gonna be annoying, yeah.
Wow. I didn't even go to the comments. I would have not noticed if he didn't bring it up.
Because I was looking at the promotional like pictures and stuff, and I was like, oh, that must be that person. I was
Mhm.
like, wait,
Yeah.
where's that person? And then yeah, I noticed the comments also had noticed it too.
Dang.
Interesting. I hope they give an explanation for that. See, the good and the bad of us reading this right before it comes out. We're gonna have everything so fresh and we're gonna be super critical. But I'm also excited because it's fresh in my head.
I like doing that, watching TV shows or movies right after reading the book.
Does it come out? When do you guys know when it comes out?
March 3rd.
Like literally right when we finished.
Right when
Yeah.
we finish.
We couldn't have timed it better.
It works out well.
Although it's not going to be all at once. It's going to be like episodes dropping every like 2 each week or something
Oh
like that.
no, I don't like
No, it's gonna be
that.
torturous.
What?
And should we just wait? No, I don't think I can wait though.
No, I'm gonna start watching right away.
It's on Prime.
Amazon, yeah.
Yeah.
Prime.
Hmm.
Oh, it made me laugh how there was 2 times where it said Billy's daughter was like, "Oh, I want to be best friends with Daisy Jones," or
Oh
"Oh,
my
my
god,
best."
yeah.
Oh, Daisy Jones. I'm like, not your dad. That was very ironic.
Who's your favorite band member? Daisy
Daisy
Jones.
Jones.
Karma.
Who is everyone's favorite band member? I think mine is Karen.
I like
I like
Karen. Yeah.
Daisy Jones.
I like Karen, and I like that they chose Suki Waterhouse. Is that her name?
Yeah,
Because she's Edward's girlfriend.
that's true.
Pattinson?
Like in real life, she's dating Robert Pattinson.
Red pattern. Yeah.
I was just gonna say currently. Ooh.
Yeah.
I don't keep.
And she dated like Bradley Cooper or someone. She dated someone else also for a while. I like Graham too. I feel kind of bad
Mhm.
for him.
Yeah, that was tough
Yeah.
when they're talking about their relationship stuff. That was interesting when Camila and Karen were talking about it. And she was like, "Oh, you have to like help Graham or something." But kind of like what Karen was saying, like he's a grown man, he can decide what he gets into or not. But it seems like Graham also has like a little bit of ink spilling with Billy about like, "Oh, I'm always his younger brother. He didn't like the song, or he didn't want to add it in."
It's definitely not like only Billy and Daisy's angst. Like there's all of these issues with other people in the band too.
Mhm.
Except for Warren. Warren seems fine doing anything.
He's just so chill. Yeah, sure. There was also a mention of, how they kept saying, if I had to work with my brother, I'd lose my mind, or how do you even work with your brother? I'm like, are they trying to foreshadow that something's not gonna happen, like something's not gonna work out towards the end, especially with like the song that he wanted in there. And I was like, oh,
Mhm.
maybe he's gonna, and he's like, nope, sorry, it's already set. Like Daisy and I have already decided. And I was like, oh geez, like, so I feel like there could be a little downfall between them.
Maybe, yeah.
Billy seems like a control freak for sure.
Yeah. It was like I felt uncomfortable reading the part where it was like, they had fixed up the album and everyone was listening to it. And I was like, oh no, like that would be really awkward if they were all listening to the music and they're like, okay, that's not how I planned it or not how I wanted it. And all these changes were made. But I liked reading about it at the same time because I guess I never pictured the angst of like making the music because you just hear it when it comes out. But I like learning about how much goes into making it.
Yeah, like the part where what's his name? Is it Artie? I think he's the one that produces it or is mixing it. And he's like, they're so close to each other and like singing on the same mic that I can't really separate. And I was like, wow, I didn't think about that aspect too, where you're like making sure it's like the right tone for this one artist, hitting it together with this one other. I was like, wow. I mean, I know it takes a lot of work to combine and create perfect songs or whatever, but that was pretty cool. Very well described. Oh yeah, he's the lead engineer. So maybe that's I was like, ooh, he's like, I don't know. That's cool.
Yeah. Something I thought was funny too, it comes up every so often, like where it says, oh, everyone wasn't going to mention this thing that everyone knows is true. Like it says like that Billy needed Teddy's approval, like he needed a father's approval. And then, oh, no one was going to say that we all know the song is all about Daisy or all about Billy. So I think that's funny too. It's like you can only go so long without acknowledging the truth.
And it's quite interesting that everyone tries not to confront him or, share their opinion about how they feel with the album. Because who were they telling? I get the Rod and like the engineer, the manager, the producer. I get all of them confused because I feel like, yes, they have a big role, but not such a big role to remember them.
Yeah.
So I can't remember who they were saying, but they were kind of like, I kind of want to look for the quote.
What was happening in it? What was the gist of it?
I'll just look for it.
I don't know like what roles they have either.
Yeah,
just
I
was
mean, I
look-
wrote them down, but it's just like I was listening for the other half of it, and it was
Yeah.
kind of cool to listen to the different voices. But
Because it seems Billy will listen
Well,
to Teddy.
Art does like the mixing,
yeah,
and then Rob is
He's the
like
manager.
the manager, and Teddy works for the record label.
Mm.
So I guess is he like the producer? I don't know.
he's like the producer.
Yeah, because I was seeing this section says by Rod, it says, could we replace Eddie if we needed to with Pete Lee with him? I started putting out feelers for other guitarists. But I
Yeah,
don't know if
Teddy's
maybe-
the producer.
okay.
So that's why he's like has the ultimate say, but also Billy like gives him the ultimate say.
Exactly. So I think in that part, that's when all the different band members, I don't know who they were telling that they didn't like the song. They're like, oh, go talk to Billy. And they were kind of like, no. And it's like, oh, go talk to Billy and mention it. And then they wouldn't. So I know that Teddy would have more of a say, but they won't even confront Billy to at least mention it to Teddy. So I thought that was
Mhm.
quite interesting. Well,
Yeah.
Because yeah, I mean, there's probably, I think ultimately I don't really know, I'm just assuming. I think ultimately the producer like has a lot of power, but maybe there's some bands where they would push back more on the producer than Billy does. But Billy seems to like, and everyone is saying like Billy just like does whatever Teddy says.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's kind of interesting.
Because he said, didn't he say there was that one moment that he had this horrible, or this one song that he thought was horrible and he was going to throw it away and it became like his biggest hit. So, and Teddy's the one that said to do that. And since then, he's like, well, I have to do whatever Teddy says.
yeah.
Maybe it's an example also of how Billy is actually really insecure in all of these parts of his life, but he just puts on a front.
Mhm.
Yeah, he's not bothered by Daisy. He's the leader of the band. It's his say, but like actually he's very unsure about a lot of things.
Yeah.
That's a good point. Yeah, it made me think back to the same line I mentioned before about like how Billy needed Teddy's approval, like he needed a father's approval. So, and maybe Teddy knows that, like, you know, maybe he's not taking advantage per se, but kind of like working that to get what he wants a little bit. That's interesting.
I also found it interesting that Camila, she said that she's living the life she wants to live. Yeah, it doesn't seem like she's happy.
Yeah, I agree.
And I don't know why her saying that like gave me gold digger vibes. And no, I know that's not what it is, but just the fact that she's like, yeah, I knew I was gonna, or like I knew that was his lifestyle and I'm okay with that. And she's just kind of like, me, I'm happy like that. I'm like, are you really though?
Yeah, there was that one section too where it says like something about like the book was talking about Daisy and Billy and kind of like how Camila and Billy didn't really like talk about like how close he had to be with Daisy all the time to do all that work. But it seemed like implied that she kind of like would be okay with an affair. That's how I read it at first anyways. And then after when she goes to lunch with her high school flame, you know, I feel like that kind of implies that maybe there was something else going on there too. So it's just weird. Like I just feel like they're not talking about what they need to talk about.
Like they're like, yes, we have this family, but I mean, if you're gonna sleep with someone, even though you said you weren't, or like it's just us, like it's gonna happen. And then obviously her with the lunch thing, she's kind of like, well, then I'll do my thing too.
Or like,
Yeah.
it's okay if we don't speak of it.
As long as we don't talk about it, it's okay. We
Yeah.
can still trust each other, which kind of like defeats the purpose. I don't know.
Well, I have a like, is that really all that happened between Daisy and Billy, like up to this point? Because they seem so
Well,
mad
stuff might
about it.
happen. Stuff might happen on the tour.
Yeah.
Mm.
But I'm like, is
With
that
each other.
all that happened that time? Or are they leaving stuff out? I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, right before that like kiss moment, there I think Daisy was the one saying, "Do we really have to say everything?"
Yes. Oh, you're right.
I
At the
was
end of the
like,
chapter.
Damn
Mhm.
it, these are interviews, so obviously they're not gonna give you straight facts. Like they could still, you know how they say like they train them for publicity, or like they train them for the newspapers, for the press, for the whatever. I'm like,
Mhm.
once again, how Paola mentioned, they're very unreliable, so we don't really know.
And then on the author's note at the beginning of the book, at the end of that section, it says the truth often lies unclaimed in the middle. So I feel like the tricky bit about this book, what makes it intriguing, is like you have to hear what everyone's saying, kind of balance it out in your brain, and kind of be like, okay, this is what I think really happens.
Yeah.
But of course, all the readers also have their own perspectives, and we're going to take things differently. So there's
Yeah,
no way of knowing what truly happened.
yeah. Which I guess is the same with like actual artists or celebrities, where
Mhm.
they say one thing, but is it really the truth? I don't know.
That is very interesting because if the readers have to be like figuring out, okay, what do we think is the truth? And the characters in the book are also kind of like saying, oh, no one's going to say this, even though we all know it's true. It's like there's multiple layers of figuring out the truth in the book. I felt like I did not like reading the part about when Daisy was cutting her feet on the broken glass. That kind of grossed me out. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
there's too. I think I just imagined it happening to me, and I was like, ah.
I think it's
Well, it
crazy.
was like a literal example of how she is not taking care of herself. Like
Yes.
literally, she doesn't even care if she's stepping on broken glass.
I was just gonna say that the fact that she doesn't feel that, or doesn't remember that she was supposed to meet up with to like record the
Mhm.
album, she like completely is like lost. And when she bought the tickets to Italy, she's like, oh, the tickets just showed up, and I'm like, there's no way, like, you know, she did that, but she can't really remember or recall any of this because of all the drugs and under the influence she is, which isn't
And she
intense.
left her friend to find her in Thailand, and she was already in Italy. That's a very good friend.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes me think like her brain must be quite addled. Like even if she stops, you know, her brain might not be the same as it was at the beginning. I wonder if in the future Billy will say like, oh, well, you remember it this way because you like took so many pills all the time.
Mm.
Interesting. I thought it was funny when Daisy called the vote on the song too, to kind of like take Billy's power away. I think it's kind of like a good moment for him to see that he's not going to be in charge of everything all the time.
I like knowing the little background of that song now, because it's like one of the first ones they like showed for the show,
Oh, I didn't know that.
or at least that's the first one I heard.
Mm-hmm.
So then having like we've heard them talk about Honeycomb and talk about all these other songs, and then the last one that pops out is Regret Me, and that's like the one that they kept putting on the promo. So I'm like,
Oh.
Interesting.
That's very telling.
Yeah.
You guys, they said in the promos for the show that they're making their own music, right? To go along.
Yeah,
with-
they have a whole like, I think like the guy from Mumford and Sons and some other artists like basically wrote the songs. So they're releasing a whole album alongside
the
the
show.
TV show. And it's probably not, it's probably that the actors are singing. I don't think the actors are playing the instruments or anything, but they're
Right.
singing at least.
I wonder if they're going to use the same song titles.
They're using some of the same song titles, but I noticed that the lyrics are different.
Different.
Mm.
They're
Oh.
not the same lyrics,
Yeah.
which is interesting. But I guess like they wanted to, maybe they were like, the artists were like, I'll do it, but I'm gonna write my own song.
Or
yeah.
like, this doesn't really sound okay
Mhm.
when you put it with music.
Oh, I wonder. Yeah, I wonder how that works with copyrights and stuff. Taking something like this and making it for a show.
Yeah, I think once you sign, I don't know, but I have a feeling maybe once you sign away the rights to the book, like there's certain parameters where like there's artistic license from the creators of the TV show to do kind of what they feel, you know, like how they want to interpret things. It's just that they now have the rights from the author, and maybe there's stuff in the contract too, like the author's like, you must do this, or maybe there's nothing like that if the author doesn't have enough like power. Like I think when Harry Potter became movies, like the author had a lot of control over a lot of stuff, but I don't think that's usually the case.
Got it. Oh, thanks for explaining.
Yeah, because the trailer on this one, I mean, it shows Camila, at least based on the comments I read, also like it shows Camila being more like controlling and more like just jealous. And I mean, so far, based on what they said so far, she's just like, well, we don't talk about it. Like, not like whatever, but kind of.
So they have to change it to see what will be good TV from their perspective.
Which makes sense because like who doesn't want like an actual drama?
And then for the music, I wonder if it's like different parties had to meet together and say like, okay, this is the vibe we want, but maybe the songwriters want it to be like, oh, I want it to be something I made, not like something that I'm just adding music to from a book. Maybe that's what it was too.
Yeah, because plus would get like nominations for awards or stuff if they made their own music.
That's true.
Yeah, like if they won an award, it wouldn't be the same if they didn't make the words themselves. Like they want more ownership, maybe.
I had not seen the lyrics, and oh my gosh, they just kept writing about each other.
I'm gonna look at the lyrics again right now.
Are they in the back of the book?
Yes.
So like, you know how they kept talking about this could get ugly, and I feel like you can get the hint that obviously it's about them. Like if there's something, it could get ugly. And literally goes, the ugly you got in you, well, I got it too. You act like you ain't got a clue, but you do. Oh, we could be lovely if this could get ugly. Write a list of things you'll regret. I'll be on top smoking a cigarette. Oh, we could be lovely if this could get ugly. The things you run from, baby, I run too. And I know it scares you through and through. No one knows you like I do. Try to tell me that ain't true. Oh, we could be lovely if this could get ugly. Come
Oh
on,
my
come on now, honey. Let yourself think about it. Can you really live without it? Oh, we could be lovely if this could get ugly.
That's tough. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
intense.
Oh, Paula, the audiobook has the lyrics too.
Oh, cool.
'Cause it's like where the chapters are at the top, there's a PDF.
Okay, I need to look for that.
And then the turn it off one, it's basically just saying like, I can't turn this off. You keep turning me on, and I'm trying and I'm pleading, and you, oh, I'm just like, damn. Like
my
they don't make it seem very
gosh.
angsty, but they're angsty. It's just like,
E-
oh.
Even the Impossible Woman one, I feel like it's saying
Mhm.
the same thing as this could get ugly, but just in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you could argue, like Billy's argument would be like, I wrote it about drugs. I wrote it about like the temptation
Mhm.
of drugs and infidelity and all the things I was fighting.
That's true.
Yeah.
But you like he's delusional if he doesn't think he was also writing it about her.
Daisy.
That's
Yeah.
so crazy.
Yup.
It's because like in the book, Daisy is literally like a human embodiment of everything he's trying to escape. That's what makes it so angsty.
Mm.
Yikes.
Like every little thing that bothers him about her, that's already giving you like a big, slap in the face. Like, hello, why is this bothering you? If
And
you
we
didn't
already
feel
know.
certain way. Yeah.
Yeah, he must actually be feeling like super confused because I sense that he does like have a need for control and he wants all this affirmation, but he's kind of like scared of like what might happen to him if Daisy continues to be around. He's not saying that he needs to control what he does because he's a grown-up man too, but I'm just like seeing it a little differently now because I think he's like pushing back on her, like, oh, she's wearing this, that's so dumb because it's so cold, and just like picking on her, even if he's just doing it in his brain. He's just finding so much to like bug about with Daisy because he can't control her. So I think he feels threatened by that. But then also he feels he's maybe losing control of how the band is going. But then also he's scared of like losing his family and then falling back into addiction again.
Mhm.
That's intense.
Yeah. There was also a line where I think he was saying that he could easily fall back into it. And
Oh yeah.
the fact that he wasn't saying like, oh, Daisy is doing a bad job. It was more like, oh, Daisy's having fun. It's like, oh.
Yeah, it was like right after she cut her feet, right? He didn't say
Yeah.
like, oh,
Yeah.
that's bad. He was like, that looks
Mhm.
like fun. I remember reading that too. And he
Mhm.
walked away to drive home, right?
Yeah. I mean, he had some control, but you can tell that he could easily lose it, and he's not.
It was a temptation.
Mm-hmm.
I have a controversial argument to make.
Mm-hmm.
Do we
Say it.
think that this is a very controversial thing to say, but
Okay.
I'm just posing it.
Go for
Do
it.
we think that Billy should have just done what he wanted to do, even if it would have hurt people?
Yes.
Is he denying a part of himself?
I was wondering that too. I just feel like, okay, people say, once an addict, always an addict, and you just have to keep battling it. But he's seeing Daisy right in front of him do all the things he wants to do. But if he still wants to do it and he's not, I don't know if like that makes him a good person either. I don't know. I think like part of me would be very curious to see what would happen in the book if he just went for it too. Because I feel like that's part of like the theme of rock and roll and like what the book is about. But I think so far, there was another character that said, oh, Billy's always good at taking care of himself. So I'm like, okay, well, he keeps doing that, but what will that look like? And he's always going to have it in the back of his mind. Like, I feel like he'd have to give up the band completely to get away from it.
I'm not saying he doesn't want to get better, like, when he went to rehab and all that stuff. But I feel like because it was kind of like Camila telling him like, do it for your kid. It wasn't
Mhm.
his like own will saying like, oh, I have to do it for my kid. It was kind of like this pressure, and I think that's why it's hard for him. So I'm not saying he should have continued to do these drugs until he finally realized himself how bad it was, but I think it may have gone a little better. Once again, I am not in a situation where I've done drugs like that, so I don't know how bad it is when you do it and you're in that state that it's so hard to leave, and then like you're just like, oh my god, it's right there. I don't know. I just feel like he's not really in it for himself. He's more like, oh, I feel bad because I did it for my kid, and I'm doing it for my kid, but I don't know. It's mostly the wife. Can't say.
Yeah, I mean, clearly he didn't have control and he was probably going to, self-destruct if he kept doing that.
Yeah.
But I mean, again, I don't know, like maybe that's the only way to go is just to like go completely in the other direction and to reject all of that and to kind of hide parts of yourself. That's the only way. I don't know. But it's a little sad in that like he had to almost like be ashamed or cut off a part of him, his creativity in a way to
Mhm.
like live a normal life. And maybe that's what he had to do, like because otherwise he was gonna hurt people and he was gonna
Yeah.
hurt himself.
Yeah.
But it's like very interesting to think about that and how it like kind of has affected his artistry a little bit. Because
Mhm.
you know, I'm not of the opinion that like you have to do drugs to do good art or anything like that. I don't think that's true at all. But you have to kind of, I guess, maybe be honest, and maybe there's a part of him that's not being honest about who he really is. I don't know.
I think I agree with that. That makes sense because I think he feels split. Like he always wants to go back home to Camila and the kids, even if it's only for 2 hours a night. She's always there waiting for him. So I feel like he's trying to play catch up in two places. But the two people he's trying to be have like different wants and duties and things that appeal to them, you know?
They just don't match. And that's true. He's lying to himself.
Another part of people denying the truth in this book. So,
Mm-hmm.
and he's already asking for Daisy to be like gone from the band because of the angst that he's feeling. So I wonder how that's gonna play out in this next section. Like, will they finally get together and just be like, okay, caution to the wind, let's do this? Or will he just keep like not falling into it? And then it's just going to become awkward and that's how it fizzles out. But just because of how this book is going, I feel like maybe they are just gonna like, you know, get together and just be like, okay, yes, we love each other. And then I hope Billy doesn't get back into drugs, but I wouldn't be surprised if it happens, especially now that they're going on tour and he's gonna be in the same ambiance, you know, and it's gonna be all around him. The band is probably a little more sensitive to not doing drugs right in front of him, but it's still even around him because Daisy says like, oh, I have coke in my pocket right now. But when they're with groupies and all these other people, it's gonna be very prevalent, I think, and it'll be harder for him to say no to it.
Yeah, maybe that's why the band will break up because Billy will go off the wagon.
Maybe. I wonder if Nicola will come up to her.
Oh,
That was
no.
interesting when they were,
Not.
when they
Oh
were
my
squaring
God.
up. I was like, dang.
Nikki. Oh gosh.
And he was only one that could put Billy in his place. I was like, that's interesting. Like no one else wants to stand up to him because they're afraid of like ruining what the band has. But you know, something's got to give
I think
eventually.
they're definitely getting divorced.
Mm-hmm.
If she sticks with him, I'm like, girl, what?
Yeah. Yeah, there's so many possibilities to what can happen. I'm really curious to see. Oh, dang. I thought we had 2 more sections to go, but this is the last one already, right?
This is the last one. Yeah.
I feel like this is going to be one like I wish I could reread again, like as if I hadn't read it before, you know?
I had a really hard time stopping. So
Yeah,
Ooh.
I finished it yesterday and I was like, oh my God, I already finished. Because I went to the so I went to the bathroom and I kept reading while I was in the bathroom. And then I finished while I was in the bathroom and it was only like 9. Usually I read until like 10. And I was like,
Mhm.
oh,
What do I
I'm
do now?
done.
I read it right before I had dinner, and then I think I had like about hour and a half. I'm like, okay, I could do it. But I think like it was part of me thinking like, okay, I need to finish, but also I was really into it, so they just made it like a very thrilling section to read.
I was reading it at Starbucks, and it's kind of cool that I like to put songs with certain sections, and it's just like I'm over here reading, doing my thing, and then I hear a song, and I was like, why is this like this moment right now? I was like, wait, why is this moment right now? And I'm just like, oh my God. So I fall in love with the book even more. And I'm just
Nice.
like,
Yeah, I'm really enjoying the book.
So I just feel like this will be my top because I'm super into music and how everything is happening and the development of it. And I think the songs that they're putting out and even the songs that I'm associating with the book, I'm just like, whoa. So I don't know. It's just the whole experience for me.
I think for me it's that, and I also really like books where there's multiple characters and we get to get the perspectives of different people. I think it makes it more interesting.
Yeah.
They all just feel like really real people.
That
Mhm.
too. I think it's the dialect interview style.
You feel like you're in their
So
heads.
different. Yeah. Like you're the one interviewing them. Even though they're not really asking the questions, they're just talking, right? When you think about it.
Yeah, I mean they don't show the questions.
Yeah, that's what I'm
I mean, I'm
saying.
sure there is, but yeah.
That
Yeah.
helps with the flow.
Mhm. It's really cool. Last section. The world tour.
And the breakup.
That's what it's called?
Then and
Oh, I just added it. That's what it says at the beginning, that they break up.
Oh,
yeah.
oh my gosh.
We know that's what it's going to.
What did you see?
I almost saw something.
Oh
Just
no.
because I was like, oh yeah, there's different titles. And then there's something italicized, and I was like,
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Don't look.
I know, but you know, Karina, you read so fast.
I know, that's why I have to be
Asking.
careful.
Just kidding.
When I put my post-its now, I just like barely crack it, because if I open the book all the way, I'll be like, fuck, I just read something.
I'm excited.
I feel like this would be one that we just like finish it tomorrow and meet the next anniversary or something.
Oh, last week I read it like on Wednesday night.
Oh,
I didn't even go to book club, but I waited and then I read it, and I'm probably gonna read this like by tomorrow.
That's what I was gonna say.
Listen, not read, listen to it. by
It's
tomorrow.
doable. I mean, I didn't touch this book at all until today. And it wasn't like, oh, I'm gonna give myself all this time to read. It was like, I'm really cutting it short. Like I really have this tiny time frame, and I was like, oh shit, I should have done it before. But it's doable. So I don't know if you guys want to. But then we'd have to wait for the freaking show.
oh
Yeah.
no.
We're
Maybe
gonna
it's
wait
better the
regardless.
original way.
Waiting
Yeah.
regardless, so it doesn't matter. Up to you
I-
guys. If you guys wanna change it up.
I think it would be kind of cool actually to finish it when the show starts, because I forgot about the show when I said the first thing. But I could also just read it the ending twice. Read it tomorrow and then read it again before book club, so it's fresh in my brain.
Okay, so last section next week.
Alrighty.
You don't? Did y'all bring a book?
Yes.
Mm-mm.
Woo, fun. Who wants to go first?
I can go first. Oops, hold on, I minimized you guys. Okay. Let me unblur the background so the book shows up properly. All right, this is the book that I received as a present for my birthday. It is called The Henna Artist by Alka Joshi. It is a Reese's Book Club book.
Oh.
The author is a New York Times bestselling author, born in India and raised in the United States since the age of 9, with a BA from Stanford University and MFA from California College of Arts, who lives in Pacific Grove. And here's the description. Escaping from an arranged and abusive marriage, 17-year-old Lakshmi makes her way from her 1950s rural village to the vibrant pink city of Jaipur. There, she becomes the henna artist and confidant, most in demand by the wealthy women of the upper class, but trusted with the secrets of the wealthy, she can never reveal her own. Known for her original designs and sage advice, Lakshmi must tread carefully to avoid the jealous gossips who could ruin her reputation and her livelihood. As she pursues her dream of an independent life, she is startled one day when she is confronted by her husband, who has tracked her down these many years later with a high-spirited young girl in tow, a sister Lakshmi never knew she had. Suddenly, the caution that she has carefully cultivated is threatened. Still, she perseveres, applying her talents and lifting up those who surround her as she does. Vivid and compelling in its portrait of one woman's struggle for fulfillment in a society pivoting between the traditional and the modern, the henna artist opens a door into a world that is at once lush and fascinating, stark and cruel. So I chose this book because it's also like a culture we haven't read in book club yet, and the description sounded really good. The Reese Witherspoon little snippet says, captivated me from the first chapter to the final page. So I thought it'd be different.
Cool.
Who is next?
Trying to find it, or the summary.
I can go. I'm pitching the same one I pitched last time, the Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin. So it meets the woman author criteria. And I don't know if I need to read the whole summary again. It was Goodreads choice for best fiction 2022. I'll just read like the short little thing, but it's about like two people that create a video game together and their story from like their teenage years to like their 30s. In this exhilarating novel by the best-selling author of The Storied Life of A.J. Fikry, never read it, two friends, often in love but never lovers, come together as creative partners in the world of video game design, where success brings them fame, joy, tragedy, duplicity, and ultimately a kind of immortality. I've just seen it on a lot of book lists and at my library, or not library, at my bookstore nearby here. So.
Tomorrow. I think so. I just picked this out of my Goodreads. I don't know if you guys have seen this show. I haven't, but I found out it's a show. Everything I Know About Love.
Mm-mm.
If anybody has read it. That's it. That book. Apparently it's a memoir. Just different. I don't really read memoirs, but because it was a show and I think it was a hit, I kind of want to read it. So the wildly funny, occasional heartbreaking, internationally best-selling memoir about growing up, growing older, and learning to navigate friendships, jobs, loss, and love along the ride. When it comes to the trials and triumphs of becoming an adult, journalist and former Sunday Times columnist Dolly Alderton has seen and tried it all. In her memoir, she vividly recounts falling in love, finding a job, getting drunk, getting dumped, realizing that Ivan from the corner shop might just be the only reliable man in her life, and that absolutely no one can ever compare to her best girlfriends. Everything I Know About Love is about bad dates, good friends, and above all else, realizing that you are enough, glittering with wit and insight, heart and humor. Her unforgettable debut weaves together personal stories, satirical observations, a series of lists, recipes, and other vignettes that will strike a chord of recognition with women of every age. Yeah, so there's that. A little bit more. I think the show is on. What is it on? Is that Paramount? Peacock. It's like, I don't know what that is. It just has a P. It's on Peacock. It's a 7.6 out of 10. So, maybe it's good.
I can go next.
Okay.
So I am going to propose Lessons in Chemistry
I've seen
by,
that.
by Bonnie Garmus, Garmus. And let me scroll to the summary. So it is a woman author, and it focuses on a chemist, Elizabeth Zott, who's not your average woman. In fact, Elizabeth Zott would be the first to point out that there is no such thing as an average woman. But it's the early 1960s, and all her male team at the Hastings Research Institute takes an unscientific view of equality, except for one, Calvin Evans, the lonely, brilliant, Nobel Prize nominated grudge holder who falls in love of all things her mind. True chemistry results. But like science, life is unpredictable, which is why a few years later, Elizabeth Zott finds herself not only a single mother, but the reluctant star of America's most beloved cooking show, Supper at Six. Elizabeth's unusual approach to cooking combined 1 tablespoon of acid with a pinch of sodium chloride provides revolutionary. But as her following grows, not everyone is happy, because as it turns out, Elizabeth isn't just teaching women to cook, she's daring them to change the status quo. So that's my pitch. A woman author and female power protagonist.
I'm
Took
actually,
that took a
I'm reading,
turn.
Yeah. Chemist to
reading that.
show.
I'm intrigued by the cooking part.
Yeah.
Are you reading it, Julie?
I'm reading it. My other book club really liked it, but I'm only like halfway through, so I could pause if we do that one.
Who shall be next?
I don't have one, so not me.
Me neither.
I wasn't gonna suggest one, but I have had this one on my to be read list for a while, so I'll just suggest it. And it's by Taylor Jenkins Reid.
Ooh.
It's One True Loves,
Oh.
and I'll read the little. Let's see. It says, in her 20s, Emma Blair marries her high school sweetheart, Jesse. They build a life for themselves far away from the expectations of their parents and the people of their hometown in Massachusetts. They travel the world together, living life to the fullest and seizing every opportunity for adventure. On their first wedding anniversary, Jesse is on a helicopter over the Pacific when it goes missing. Just like that, Jesse is gone forever. Emma quits her job and moves home in an effort to put her life back together. Years later, now in her 30s, Emma runs into an old friend, Sam, and finds herself falling in love again. When Emma and Sam get engaged, it feels like Emma's second chance at happiness. That is, until Jesse is found. He's alive, and he's been trying all these years to come home to her. With a husband and a fiance, Emma has to now figure out who she is and what she wants while trying to protect the ones she loves. Who is her one true love? What does it mean to love truly? Emma knows she has to listen to her heart. She's just not sure what it's saying.
Damn.
Upcoming movie released in April.
Yes, movie coming out in April.
Really
How did
good.
So I thought it'd be perfect.
Is it being released on theaters?
I think it is.
It is. Wow.
Oh, she's gonna make so much money this year.
I know. Jeez, woman.
I hope she keeps writing good books so we can keep her.
Is she the new Nicholas Sparks?
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Love it. Okay. Interesting. This is some chemistry I got you.
I think it's more that Reese's book club is like eclipsing Oprah's book club because she's like all of these books that she or authors that she's championing get like she'll make movies out of the products or out of the books. And I feel like we're always recommending Reese's book club now. Like no one's recommending Oprah.
Oprah's. Yeah.
Oh, that's true.
I don't hear about Oprah's.
Yeah,
I
Reese
also
is
don't follow
Witherspoon
Oprah.
is like,
Mhm.
I'm taking over.
Oprah probably quit because she's like, no one's listening to me anyways. I'm not gonna embarrass myself no more.
She's from another generation. I mean, that's true.
That
Reese
is
is more contemporary for us.
also true.
A little, even though I think she's older than us too. But
Same with Drew Barrymore. Her show is very, I've never seen an episode, but a lot of people, like influencers, celebrities, have been on the show, and I just had no idea it was that popular.
For Drew Barrymore?
Drew Barrymore show. I don't know how to watch it because I don't have.
Yeah, I always see clips. I feel like
Mhm.
it's probably
I think
like
it's
on
daytime.
midday. I was just gonna say that. When
Oh.
we're at work and
I don't know what network it is.
yeah, I agree. I think a lot of the books that I've been, well, also book talk too. Maybe that like combined with Reese's book club and other more in vogue ones right now, like are leading us to read them more too.
Okay, so we have those 5 libros. I'll send the thingy majig. And I'll see you guys next Tuesday.
All right, see you next
The end
Tuesday.
of February. That went by quick, didn't it?
A race to the
It
finish.
did.
Yeah.
Day before your birthday.
Woo! Oh, my
A lot of birthdays.
I know. Katie's
I sent out like 15
birthday.
cards.
Katie's birthday was last time.
Happy
So
birthday,
sing
Katie.
Happy
Thank
birthday to her.
Happy belated.
Happy
Thank you.
belated.
Happy birthday. to
Happy
Ava.
belated.
Thank you.
I feel like there's a lot of birthdays nearby.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's Alvaro's birthday today.
I was just gonna say that. It is Alvaro's
Happy birthday.
Alvaro.
Happy birthday, Drew. Julie, did you guys do anything or waiting till the weekend?
Well, we had a wedding last weekend,
Yeah.
Okay.
and then this weekend I work, so I just got him some cakes and
What kind of
we're
cake?
good. It was from this French pastry shop.
Ooh.
Oh,